Welcome to Titan HST's Business Continuity Today, hosted by Todd DeVoe, where planning meets reality.
Good morning, or good afternoon, depending on where you are at in this fine nation. And I am Todd DeVoe, and I'm the host of this great Business Continuity Today. I am the Director of Emergency Services for Titan HST, and I'm also an educator at this post-secondary level. And teaching and learning and teaching what I learn is a big passion for me. And you know what? I mean, I don't know if you guys pay attention or not, but the other day we had this thing called the big game. Because anyway, it was this big championship football game that happened here near my hometown where I live. And it's it was a lot of fun. But the reason why I bring it up isn't because of the sport, but it's because Titan HST actually supported the venue and the event, and it was pretty exciting to see some of the stuff up there and really to test the system out, and it was amazing. And but today we're talking about tools and using tools such as Titan HST to coordinate teams, communication, and anything can happen in an unexpected event or in a planned event, such as what happened on Sunday. And we've learned a few lessons over the last couple of years regarding what it is to work remotely. Matter of fact, I remember we were using Zoom just for meetings and whatnot, and it was very obscure. You know, people were, what's Zoom? And they're still talking about other platforms and whatnot. And Zoom is now a verb, right? I mean, people, hey, let's jump on a Zoom, meaning it could be a GoToMeeting, it could be Teams, it could be any other platform, Google Meets, right? But Zooming or going on to Zoom is now a verb, kind of like Googling. And so that kind of makes you think, like, what other programs are out there, tools that you can use to work remotely, specifically when you're looking at managing a problem. We've had virtual EOCs, if you will, for many years, the ability to log in from your laptop somewhere, and sometimes they tend to be clunky and large programs, really difficult to use. When I say difficult to use, not on the user end, like where we're typing stuff in, but having to create a whole bunch of things in the back end. And they've streamlined over the years. Everything is getting better. Like anything else, it starts off at one way and then it just improves as it goes along. But now we're starting to see people using other programs that aren't necessarily intended for mass event management, right? And I think it's kind of interesting. I was reading an article not too long ago about a team that had a budget, right? Excuse me. And being on a budget sometimes, can be difficult. And unless you come from a large city that has a lot of, I guess there's no such thing as unlimited resources, but have more resources than others. You sometimes have to get creative on how you do things. And so this one particular article was saying they're using Slack for internal communications. They created, and I don't know enough about Slack to really talk in the right vernacular, so please forgive me if I misspeak. But I guess they're like Slack channels or something like that. And anyway, they created areas of all your positions function inside of that, and so they communicate that way as you would if you had a more expensive system designed for your EOC. Now, is it the best? I wouldn't say that. I mean, because there's obviously some limitations that are set up specifically for what that is. But does it work in a pinch? And if you practice with it and this is what you have, I think absolutely using things like this. Using the shared or collaborative workspaces that you can have, whether it's through Google Documents or the cloud services such as that you can share documents, share space, work together collaborative workspace, I guess what it's called. Programs like that I think are very important to use when you're working remotely. Can you get the same thing done working remotely as you do in an EOC setting or a department operations center setting or in a boardroom? There Well, there's challenges for sure, right? Oral communication is one way, written communication is the other. But sometimes, being able to see that body language and understanding and seeing the stress on people, and being able to ask those questions in a way that are offline, if you will, away from the crowd. Go and grab a cup of coffee with somebody and have that conversation to see what's going on in their mind as leaders. I think is critical sometimes, but you can, have that conversation and do similar stuff here online. I mean, heck, we're remote right now, right? If you think about this, again, going to the idea of Zoom, it's now most people have a complete understanding of what it is to meet virtually, and no doubt to the point I think where it's expected, right? And what I mean by that is when we have meetings set up, there's now normally some sort of virtual component to it, right? If everybody can't get to an in-person meeting, they'll have a Zoom, or well, see, I'm using it as a verb. They'll have a Zoom link set up, or they'll have a link set up for the virtual meeting. You know, the other side of it too is this also gives us new abilities. We can have smaller, groups. So number one, it's safer, right? So if you have everybody in one building, let's take a look at 9/11, for instance, right? The emergency operations center was at the building at the Twin Towers, right? So we saw the problems that occurred when they lost that physical structure. Um, so if you have people from all over the place in different areas, if something does occur to that building, whether earthquake or terrorist event, you don't lose your entire team in one swoop. Operations centers can be smaller, and you can actually again save some money by not having to put all the equipment in one space, and redundancies on the equipment, and having an EOC set up in one location and have to have your backup EOC set up in one location. Having remote workers being able to chime in here at this point means that you have equipment all over the place, I suppose, but at the same time it's not sitting in one location, sitting static, and doing nothing in between your events. Management is a little bit more difficult in one aspect of it, but in the other side of it, it could be easier because now you have your device with you, and you can log on into the shared space and be able to communicate, read documents. That's one of the things, talk about Titan HST a little bit, is that the ability to have documents in one location and your communication device in one location, and your ability to coordinate through teams in one location, I think is great, right? So that's one of the things that streamlines your ability to do work. Also the unexpected and unplanned transition between your daily work to an EOC, right? So if you have, the emergency that does occur, you have your if you're a small city, you don't have people sitting around in the EOC all day long. You have people that are going from their daily job, say as the director of public works, and now they have to report to the emergency operations center. They can do so remotely, either on their way into work or from their desktop, and be able to still participate in what's going on while the transition is occurring. So it actually reduces that friction time of setup and communication between the team if you have the remote and the ability to do this quickly. As one of the problems that we have in public safety and specifically is like making those changes, right? And we've done this thing this way for 100 years. Why should we change now? And we're starting to see that happening now with our technology that we need to embrace, right? Even old people like me, right? We need to embrace that technology and what it can bring to the table, and how we can make things work smoother, and better. The next generation coming up behind us, they're already there, right? This is, they've grown up with the cell phones, they've grown up with the iPads, they understand Zoom. Think about the children that are in school today. They've had 2 years of integrating into the Zoom culture or lifestyle, if you will, of remote learning. Remote meetings and remote EOC type things are going to be second nature to them. Matter of fact, maybe it's first nature to them. And being in a room with somebody else is going to be second nature. Embrace that changes, embrace the technology, embrace the tools. Hey, everybody, thank you so much for spending time with me this morning. And, don't forget to check out Titan HST for your communications and potentially coordination needs. You can find us at titanhst.com. Follow us on your favorite podcast player on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Until next time, stay safe and stay hydrated.